back! No! Oh,
Five Nights at Freddy's is a trip. It kicked off in 2014 as a peculiar indie game with a fresh gimmick, and then suddenly it spiraled into a world where a bodybuilding Korean Jesus is screaming at Chuck E. Cheese, and it's the most profitable thing ever.
was that the bite of 87%?
Percent of the market share of indie horror titles? Yes, Markiplier, yes it was. Back then I thought the idea would get stale after 6 months, like those crappy Slender games. Or that scary maze game you used to prank your friends with and then film their reaction so you can immortalize the exact moment they lost every last bit of trust they had for humanity, and for you, specifically. That's right, Timmy, you're the reason for your dad's pacemaker, not Bitcoin. So, no doubt, I definitely missed out, too busy smelling my farts while Five Nights at Freddy's broke all the charts. Now we have books, comic books, movies, movie rip-offs, toys, clothes, underwear, insulin pumps, backpacks, Foxy-themed urinals, what the f***, cutlery, hats, antipsychotic medication, pro-psychotic medication, watches, Fazbear Pizza, kamikaze drones. Use the code IDF for a 20% discount. And custom-designed Five Nights at Freddy's themed gooning chambers. Not to mention, true empires thrive not just through wealth they accumulate, but also through the amount of degeneracy they spread. So I decided to check out the new game, Into the Pit, and play the story of a kid named Oswald and his dysfunctional dad who force-feeds him pizza like his son is an underpaid employee about to unionize. Inspired by the persistence of the nearby roadkill, every single day he leaves his kid in a dirty restaurant that's filled with grease and rats, and the only vegetable is the health inspector chained up in the basement. There's a time-traveling ball pit that allows you to go back in time to see the same restaurant now filled with laughing children, which, technically speaking, are also disease-spreading vermin. Neat idea, but no matter how many times I submerge myself in balls, I still can't go back in time to stop DashCon from happening. While trying to pull a Uno reverse card on the classic family trick in order to abandon my dad, he suddenly gets replaced by an evil animatronic of a giant yellow rabbit. But honestly, I consider it an upgrade. At least this version of Oswald's dad wants to spend time with his son, and doesn't spend every waking minute pondering his unemployment like a typical Fnaf lore analyst. Then I just gotta run around collecting items, hiding, getting jump scared, and when I'm tired, going to the arcades to play better games. There are also 2 other locations, school and house. And in those other 2 nothing much happens, so they don't count. Once in school I encountered the most incompetent bully I've ever seen. Dylan the bully hits us with a soft, limp, sticky hand which I once accidentally swallowed when I was 5. He also calls our hero Oswald the Ocelot, like it's some kind of a devastating roast I will never recover from. Breaking news, dipshit! Ocelots are awesome, and you suck at bullying.
12 shots.
No wonder Oswald's such a bitch. What's with those Tesco bargain bin value insults? What are we afraid of? Becoming a statistic? Dude, my mom could say better insults, and in fact she often does. Another one of my favorite NPCs is this girl who's clearly destined for greatness in the food service industry. Despite her tender age, she's already getting a head start on her career by mastering the art of crying in the freezer. Inside Oswald's house, you sneak around trying to avoid your fake father. Mom also appears, but she doesn't mind the new, possessed version of her husband. I even tried to catch them mid-act, trying to compensate for their past mistakes. Imagine how cooler this game would be if suddenly Oswald had a brother that's half human, half robot and half rabbit, and he needed to learn to live with him, while his plastic skin is melting and flaking off like a Rainbow Dash toy inside a jar filled with golden-tinted primordial god juice, and then he's only able to communicate through differently pitched hydraulic hisses, and every one of them is just telling the pain to stop. Happy birthday, Five Nights at Freddy's. It has been 10 years. Although the original games felt samey, they were popular among kids, so I applaud the franchise for discouraging kids from overindulging in fast food and teaching them to stay away from people in animal suits. Remember kids, if some creepy adults talk about cheese pizza, you fucking run. And a lot of the kids who grew up with the first FNAF are now adults. They go to work and share memes about landlords. And I bet there's at least one person who got mad head while an 8-hour-long video essay about alternative timelines was playing in the background. How ironic that FNAF was brought to the wide world by YouTubers, and now, since it's 10 years old, it should stay away from YouTubers as far as possible. So I thought that maybe this game would have more appeal to adults with its cozy, pixelated boomer aesthetic. Maybe, but production value aside, it felt like I was playing baby's first Outlast. The hairy ass crack of generic survival horror run and hide mechanic is peeking through the loose pens of spooky audio-visual presentation. What I'm saying is that the core mechanic is very simplistic and you can easily predict and outwit the monsters. Just lure them with loud noise and go to the other end of the level to complete objectives that often seem arbitrary, like a filler, before Oswald finally finds his dad. Maybe if I had knowledge of the lore of all previous games, I would appreciate it more. After all, if you watch Avengers Endgame without watching previous Marvel movies, you're probably gonna have a stroke, maybe even shit yourself. I mean, the movie itself looks like a brown note, so yeah, new FNAF game. I guess it's for a younger target audience. I prefer my spooky games like Silent Hill, 𝕐𝕆𝕝 or 𝕐𝕆𝕝. I know, I sound like I think I'm better than everyone because I play these subtle and atmospheric horror games. And while it's true, I appreciate that there are horror media aimed at children, to spook and frighten them before they are ready to face the horrors of adulthood, like taxes, or their favorite content creators' Discord chat history.